All right, with us now, Democratic strategist Julie Radinsky and founder and principal of BlueStack Strategies and former press advisor to then House Speaker John Boehner, Maura Gillespie. Since we were just talking about reproductive rights and abortion, I want to play a little bit of sound from Donald Trump yesterday. He was interviewed and he was asked about Amendment 4 in Florida, which would mandate abortion rights to viability, essentially 24 weeks. There's a 6-week abortion ban on the books in Florida. Listen to what he said.
Well, I think the 6 week is too short. It has to be more time, and so and I've told them that I want more weeks.
So you'll vote in favor of the amendment?
I'm voting that I am going to be voting that we need more than 6 weeks.
All right, the campaign then released a statement saying, no, Donald Trump isn't saying how he will vote on the amendment. So how do you explain this? There's no other vote in Florida that would allow for more than 6 weeks than this Amendment 4. So what kind of position is Donald Trump now in?
He, again, has bucked his campaign at every turn, and they cannot keep him on message. So while I agree that 6 weeks is ridiculous and is not going to ever fly in this country, and nor should it, his inability to stay on message with his campaign and what his far-right supporters want is just a sign to me that Donald Trump is just testing the boundaries constantly about how far he can push his supporters and see how they'll come along with him. It's about ego for him. I don't think he's actually thinking through as far as policy stances go.
And let's just stick on reproductive rights for a moment, Julia. Were you surprised, or what were your thoughts about the fact that reproductive rights didn't really come up that much last night? Was that a missed opportunity, or how are you feeling this morning?
I don't think it's a missed opportunity. Look, she's going on this bus tour. She's been very clear about reproductive rights. It's a motivating force, not just for Democrats, but for actually Republican women, a lot of Republican women in the suburbs. But I will also say that she tried to position herself as a moderate. That's how Democrats win. That's how Joe Biden won. That's how Bill Clinton won. That's how Barack Obama won. You can't focus just on the base. You have to expand it out. And what I found very fascinating is the first thing she said she was going to do is increase economic opportunity for the middle class. That's something very Clinton-esque that I remember back in 1992. That's kind of putting her marker down, that she's not going to just run to the base, which is what Trump is doing, but she's going to appeal just to much more than just her base.
Do you think she was specific enough in that answer?
I think she did what she had to do. I think she understood the assignment, which was to get this over with. And I think now she can go and do the interviews that she wants to do, which is not this huge, broad, global interview that there's been so much pressure on. You know, she wants to go do the Daily Show she can, and she wants to do these podcasts that she can, because she got this done. So I think she did what she had to do in the 45 minutes that she allotted Dana yesterday.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, I think on the, point that Trump playing to his base, like when it comes to reproductive rights, I feel as though yesterday and this week we've heard him say, IVF is free for everyone. I feel like he is really focused on just putting his message out there to whoever he's talking to. So in that interview, or that town hall, it was Tulsi Gabbard who explained, IVF was the only way I could have children. So he then said, well, then IVF for all. And when he was asked that question, he goes, he did say, I'm going to vote that 6 weeks is too short. He answered the question because, again, bucking his campaign, he's not focused on the message there.
What about Vice President Harris last night? What do you think she did well, and what was wanting, Maura?
I think that she did what she needed to do to answer in a calm and confident way, whereas I think in the past interviews we've watched of her, she did seem defensive, which is something that really was important for her not to show that she could answer the questions. I think on policy, we're not going to really hear that during an interview like that, to be concrete and have a fleshed out plan. But on the flip side, people saying that she switched policies and all that. It's hard for anyone, I think, to stand here with a straight face and say, criticize Harris for having shifting policies when, again, Trump went off and said, IVF for all. So it's really, you got to be kind of cognizant there.
And by the way, way to step on your own message. I mean, the point the Republicans were trying to make yesterday that she flip-flopped on fracking, she flip-flopped on all these issues. And what does Trump do? He comes out and immediately starts flip-flopping on abortion within the same day. I mean, makes one announcement, his campaign walks it back. We don't know where he stands. And the news focus is away from what they want it to be on, as Maura pointed out, which is her flip-flops, and focusing entirely on his. And that's, if I were running Donald Trump's campaign, I'd be bashing my head against the wall every day, because these are the kinds of unforced errors that devastate a campaign.
But it's why Republicans down ballot have to be focused on their own messaging and not on the top of the ticket. They cannot rely at all, and they really should be distancing themselves from Trump.
Tim Walz last night, there was so much attention on the fact that he was even there sitting with her for this interview. Did his his presence, did his being there, did that help her or hurt her, or net neutral?
I think it was a net neutral. I think he introduced himself to the nation the same way that she did in that interview yesterday. Same thing, got it over with. But ultimately, the attention was really not on Tim Walz. The attention was really on her, and he didn't get much time, and rightly should not have gotten much time because this was her big opportunity. He answered the questions that he was asked and then let her speak for most of the time that he had to. So I think it was just a nothing burger for him being there.
Kind of answered the questions he was asked, right? He chalked up some of the confusion over statements that he has made to grammar. He also said, well, people know what I meant, even if that's not what he said. Is that enough?
No, I don't think that was a good answer. I don't think that he answered it. It's not going to put that issue to rest. That will come up again. And again, I think because people are, we should always respect and appreciate anyone who has served in our military or in armed forces, no matter what. But I do think that it becomes a question of trust. And can we trust you? You're exaggerating here, and then you're saying it's a grammar issue. Either just admit something or take responsibility for any issues that happened in that, space.
This specifically, just so people know, was that it's my bad for not explaining it. Was that in an interview? Well, he was on stage years ago, and he was talking about weapons of war, and he said he carried assault weapons in war, and he didn't. He never was in war. So, and now he's saying it was just a matter of grammar.
Julie, I'm fascinated that you keep saying that she got it over with. She got the interview over with. Does the debate now become even more important for her now that she, to borrow a phrase, got it over with? And as a strategist, do you sometimes advise, contenders to hold back and sort of use maybe some of their lines for a debate audience?
Well, first of all, she's been prepping for this debate for a very long time, and I know some of the people who've been prepping her, and they're excellent. So I would just say that this is not something that was akin to what she did yesterday. There's an interview with Dana, and then there's a debate where Donald Trump is mumbling next to you with the mic potentially on, potentially off, that you have to prep for, and that is an incredibly difficult, tactile thing to be able to accomplish, regardless of who your opponent is. Look, if I were in her shoes, I would have done this much earlier because, as I said, I would have gotten it over with because there was so much pressure yesterday. She did it. She got the assignment. She checked it off. The box was checked. But it's not something that she necessarily needed to put so much pressure on herself to do. And now the debate was always going to be important because the debate is the first time the nation will really tune in to see the two of them together. I was shocked to find that she actually had never met him before. But of course, she never met him before, because he refused to accept the election and refused to show up to the inauguration. So this was going to be something that was always going to be important for her to be able to accomplish.
I think it's a really good question about the debate. Is this performance, how she did in the interview last night, good enough for the debate on September 10th?
If the goal is to show the stability versus the chaos, then yes. Which Biden tried to do, but again, he also tended to get defensive and emotional and take things personally. And as long as she can stay, kind of calm against the erratic comments of Donald Trump in that debate, but also confident, she'll do really well. I mean, again, I think I've said this a couple times, but I do think that Donald Trump in some ways is trying to lose. I think this is about ego for him, and if he can bring his supporters to where he decides to go next, he'll feel good about himself, but I don't think he actually wants to be in the White House again. I think he just wants to complain about it all being corrupt.
Well, we'll see. He is running right now, so it looks like he's trying to win. Thank you both for being here. Appreciate it very much.